Is my posture okay?
Hi everyone, this is Shreya Pandey from Criticcspace, and today on a good Sunday afternoon, I am here with Miss Anubha Gujral to have a very interesting conversation. To let you guys know about her, she's a writer who wrote her debut novel and Alchemy of Love, which is a love story. I'll show you the cover of the book, it's very pretty. And not just she's a author, she's also a dancer, photographer, and a designer. So we know that she's very creative. So the book is going to be bomb. So let's welcome her, and I'm very excited to learn about her and about her journey as an author and about the book. So okay, hi ma'am. You're
Hi,
welcome on
Shreya. Thank
the
you so
show.
much for having. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to ask you is during the process of writing of the book, it's a fiction book, it's a love story. Did it change you, or did it change anything in you or your set of mind? The way you think or anything on your behavior pattern, anything. Did it change you as a person in the process of writing this book?
It didn't change me as a person, but definitely you do change as a person in a way that you do believe in yourself that when I started something, I did not mean it to be uh, a long 200, 250 pages book. I think 246 is to be precise. I did not initiate, but then because I read a lot about uh, how to write a book, how to write a fictional novel, and everybody said so. People who are actual coaches, they generally advise it should be at least 60,000 words, and my mark was to or to up to 90,000 words is a
Did
good
it
book.
scared you when you
And
read
90,
that 60,000 words?
yeah, yes,
Like,
yes,
what will I
definitely,
write?
because yeah, correct. I was very scared and I said, how am I going to reach that kind of uh, this thing? But then once you start writing and then and I really have said it several times, even in my book I've written, there is a quote actually by William Kennedy, and I don't remember, but beyond, literally he means is that beyond a point, these characters begin to live in your head and they start to direct you. And while we think we have written it, these are the characters who make you write their own story. Mihika and Neil would nudge me, why don't you say this to him? And she would say, why don't you, he would say, why don't you say this to her? I think my characters were very, what do you call, they were paramount in the structure of this book. And I would uh, go into the shower thinking, "Arey, what to write? What do I write?" So again, coming back to your
That is
question
the
that,
time you
did
get
it
the
scare?
best ideas in the washroom.
Yeah, correct. Yes, I don't know why. Maybe we wash off all our thoughts, but yes, I got so many ideas in the washroom while the shower was going on. And so yeah, that's how the book came about. And now we are talking about it. I'm so glad we are discussing it. It's actually happened.
So, when you were writing the book during the process, did you felt the time like you were like stuck, like what do I write next, or any time that you're like, what do I write next, or what do the characters have to portray next? And like you were stuck for mainly 3, 4 days. Like I don't know what to write more. I think, and maybe it came to your mind that I should not write.
So
I should give up. This thing came to your mind
sure,
anytime?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because so now I was obviously, every author would understand and readers would understand too. Your first book, as an author, I find so many faults with it, and even if you ask any creative person about their work, they will say that they have so many things they could have done better. But there was a moment where I wanted to create a conflict, and the conflict is the what do you call it is the it is essential for any fiction love story. So what do you give to mature people? Like, what do they fight about? And then they still have a love story going on. that was when I had a serious writer's block. And then even when I invented a very small, tiny conflict, and how to resolve it now, who's going to resolve it? Because the conflict just reached its crescendo. They had their worst fight, or they were not talking to each other. Now, how do you resolve it? So that time, I think I went through a writer's block, and I think I did not write for a good 4 5 weeks, and I thought,
Weeks?
अच्छा वो पड़ी हुई है, like, it says the book is there. I think after February, I stopped writing in May, and then only to finish it in the month of July. My publisher kept asking me, "Are you finished? Are you finished?" I said, "Can you please allow me some more time?" So and I think it took me really, really long time, because I was just spiraling what to write, how to resolve this conflict, and how to create one. So that those were serious writer blocks, and I hope, in hindsight, I still feel I could have done better.
No,
I
no,
still feel
I've
that,
read the book. It's
if
really
I were
nice.
to go back today, I with why. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. But as an author, as any other creative person, I feel I could have done so much better in hindsight.
Okay, so this is your first novel, of course. So I'm sure you must have read a lot of blogs or watched content on internet that how to write a book or especially to how to write a fiction book because I'm sure there must be some structure or something. So you must have read a lot of things. So anything that you're glad, any point of advice that you read on internet but you did not follow and you're glad about it that this thing so because if I'm sure young authors are also watching this interview and they want to know that maybe this thing I should also not follow as an author if I'm writing a fiction book, so anything that comes up to your mind to help others that this point of thing I should we should not follow as an writer, it
Not
is on the
that.
internet but maybe we should not follow.
So there are all sorts of advices, and I think, like, just no shoe fits all. I think no advice fits everybody. So to each their own. But yeah, 100%. I There are so many things. So most authors who are actually giving educational content over internet, via blog or YouTube channels, they usually suggest that you follow Jane Austen's pattern of writing, that create a conflict and then you write a love story. I don't think I've followed that path, because I wanted the characters to have a good chemistry before I gave them conflict, because otherwise, because looking at the profile of my characters, I don't think giving them a conflict earlier on and then making a love story would have really done justice. But 100%, if I was to write another book, maybe I change my approach towards this writing. So yeah, at that point, that advice didn't seem right, but now maybe I will follow that advice. So according to situations, all your advices and anything that you follow changes according to
So you're
situations.
writing another book we know now, so it is a fiction book or a non-fiction book?
So I'm writing an anthology, Shreya, and that is almost done. And this time, actually, it's going to take some time, because from my book, I really learned that you must have some editors on board. And I'm actually in talks with a couple of editors. We are what, like, I think 1.5 chapters less or short, and then after that I will take a call if I want to add more chapters. Right now I have a target of 10 chapters, and I think I'm almost I have written 9. I think the 10th, maybe I want to write it later, because
Yeah. Okay, so it's an anthology. Okay, I got it. So next up, I want to ask that it's a love story, and the book has a lot of emotions and Also, during writing the book, there was a scene that made you very emotional, and you're like in a deep emotional trauma thing because a lot of books when we as a reader we read some scenes make us very we just sit and cry for hours. So this is what books do to you. So during the process of writing, did any scene made you felt this way, like you were very emotional, you were very sad, or something like that?
Mm, I think there were many scenes which I felt sad writing while I was writing because writing Mika's life, inventing something like that into a book, you have to actually have those thoughts running through your own veins or your mind to be able to, create those thoughts. So yeah, I think when I wrote, I think the chapter Beauty and the Beast, I think I went too creative. So I felt very sad that how is it possible that a woman who has gone through such a difficult time is able to sustain, stature or sanity, let alone anything but sanity to stand up uh, to show up every single day. I think that was one of the uh, saddest thing and the bestest thing also, you can say.
So, like, what inspire who inspired you to write a book? I mean, there must be a point now that someone or something that inspired you to start writing. You are a writer, of course. You write uh, on Medium, but a book. So something had happened which you made you thought that let me write a book.
Okay, so it's a very personal story. I'm not sure if I should share it online, but I will still say that. So, as a lot of people don't know, my husband was a very big author himself, and I used to always see him get praises for his books. So I really wanted to be an author that, and I told him one day, I said, you know what, why don't you take me as an author in your why don't I co-write the book with you in the next book? And he said, I don't think it's your cup of tea. And so, some things just stick with you and you take it personally, and you feel like, no, this is one thing I will do. Exit hoti hai. So something
Yes.
like that, perhaps I wanted to write something. And I mean, after he passed away, I wanted to write something like anything because writing
Must
is
be
very
very
therapeutic.
proud there, looking at you like, "Acha, likh
I,
liya. Okay, good, good job."
I hope so.
Yes.
So, but writing anything you write, many a times I write articles, and as soon as they go on my docs, I just don't publish them. It happens to me all the time because your thoughts are out, whatever you wanted to say, and it's just out there. And sometimes I publish them, sometimes I don't. So, but writing anything, so that is why most therapists also advise that you should write, you should journal your thoughts, and you should. Everybody should. Journaling is a form of therapy. It is
Does
so
it
therapeutic.
help really? I always wanted to, but I feel uh, like, do I have to write my thoughts, or do I have to write like what happened in the whole day with me, or what made me sad? But I also want to write, but I feel I don't know. I feel maybe ऐसे ही बोलते होंगे लोग, यार.
No, you should, see, first of all, you have to get rid of, most people have this fear of, so I was speaking to somebody, one of my friends, and she said she wants to write, but she feels her English is not very strong. And I said, then why don't you write in Hindi? Because writing is writing. And if you think that, okay, I'm appearing for an English exam, is it a literature exam? No. Is anybody, giving you marks for English or Hindi? Nobody is going to give you marks. Your content, your emotions, those are the things that you are, assessed on. Are you able to convey? Why you are calling my book good is because somewhere those emotions are coming across very well. There are lots of grammatical errors in my book. I have read it out loud. And as an editor now, because now I work with good editors on Medium, so as from an editor standpoint of view, I make a lot of mistakes. But then if you are journaling, do not think that it's an English exam. Who's watching it? You just write it in your notes or wherever you write. Just type it. These days it's so easy. It's a like on your thumbnails. Just type it. Just type your thoughts. Uh, okay, I'm supposed to have an interview with Shreya. I'm feeling so nervous today. I don't know how I'm going to look. I have not
Anything
blow
which
dried my
comes up in your mind, you
hair.
have to write.
Yeah. So just write
It
something
really
like,
helps. Has it
it
helped
really
you?
helps.
Okay.
It helps me because even sometimes speaking out loud, you will see me. I talk to myself, and I used to be very afraid of doing that also. That if somebody sees me talking to myself, I look nuts. But uh, if you read now, I have read actually a lot of intelligent people, successful people. They talk to themselves, and completely fine. Nobody's going to judge you, and you should not be afraid of that level of judgment. Of course, there will be there will always be fear of judgment, but we can always keep those things aside. And if you are just before coming here, I was nervous. I still am. I'm not a public figure. I'm still camera shy. So those things help writing, talking to yourself, speaking in front of the mirror.
So I'll also start journaling. I did
Yeah.
once. I used to write everything which happened to me in the day. Like I went to the tuitions, then I went there and all that. But then I stopped. I felt like, why am I writing this? But when I read this that diary of mine, and I used to write the date also. It's very fun. Like, oh, okay, that day I
Yeah.
was doing this, so it's nice, I think.
Yeah, you can even email it to yourself. I
Yeah.
sometimes I write emails to self. Those are timestamp emails, write diary number. Uh, today's 18th of May. So for example, so I gave an interview to Shreya. Yeah, I think it's a good practice to sum it up.
So I want to just, I'll write today. I just want to write right now.
You must.
Okay, so who is your favorite character from your book? I'm sure what your answer is going to be, but I'll let me check.
I think my favorite character would be Neil. I'll tell you
Oh,
why.
I thought,
Because
oh, okay. Okay.
oh no, my favorite character is Neil, really, because after I wrote the book and after it was published, I read it out loud, and I felt so. In hindsight, everybody's got some uh, maybe some I won't call it a regret, but yeah, you can do better. You could have done better. Maybe that kind of thought just occurred to me. Neil, I think Neil was a very well crafted character, and he could have been polished so much. He had so much potential. So my favorite character would be Neil. Obviously, Mika, you don't even have to say, because Mika really owns the whole book. But I think the way Neil has lifted the whole story arc. So I think, and then Areen was a very good character. Mika's son. I think
I thought
Areen
you would
was a
say Mika. I was really hoping that.
no, of course, Mika
Mine is Mika.
is a protagonist. She's the queen of the book.
Queen.
But then,
Yeah.
if without Neil, so we all have things. Or so if I, like my earrings, or like your how you have done your hair, these are our props. Neil was looking like a prop, but when you make them your centerpiece or something important, Neil was like that kind of a person. So I think my favorite character would be Neil and Areen. I really like them as people. Even Vikrant, the character. I wish I had given Vikrant more, maybe a chapter. Vikrant was really inspired by a true life character, and the person I have, the person Vikrant's character is um, inspired by. I have told this person that, Vikrant's character is inspired by your character. And then this person is like so embarrassed. But I really like Vikrant's character very much. I mean, such a lovely fellow. And we could have just given him another chapter. If you were to ask me if I could change a thing, 100%. So these men were like, maybe male characters were one of my favorite characters, you can say, when I read my book out loud. Just from the reader's standpoint of view, not from the author's standpoint of view.
Okay, so how was your friends and family's reaction on your first book? I'm sure they must be very proud and they must be very happy after reading. How was the reaction after reading the book? Not just that you have wrote the book, like, okay, she has wrote a book, but after reading the story, like, okay, like, how was
No, my daughter is very proud. My mom is very proud. My sister, my cousins, etc. They're all very proud, and my friends are so proud. They all showed up. Touch
this
wood.
inspires you a lot? This thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. To be an author and to be an author, when you write a book, you actually realize how many people are aspiring to write one. People say
Yes,
that
in
all the
fact,
time.
me, I really want to write something, but I feel fiction, though I cannot write. I'm not that creative. Maybe non-fiction, self-help book. Maybe if I research, I can write. I don't know
Yeah, then
fiction.
great. Just do not think, I think sometimes the best thing is
I think
uh,
fictional writers are the best. I mean, how can you write? How can you think of a story and write? I mean, it's very amazing, I feel.
but there is always some form of reality in fiction also. There
Yes.
is I think that's how I see things. Uh,
I think
uh,
the fiction authors, they are very they have good observation, like they observe things around them and they pen down
yes,
those
yes.
things. Mm.
Yes, actually, this is one of the advice that I actually did not take. Now, going back to your question, was when you talk to people, make notes of how they are sitting, how they
Journaling, we
are
can include this in
talking.
our
Yes,
journaling.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
You should journal. You
Because
should journal
everyone
behavior.
has a story, so we can take
Right.
their story and come up with
Yes,
something.
correct. Yes, yes. And if you want to write a motivational or anything, I think you should not think too much about it. Just go for it. What's the worst? You will not finish it. That's it. But what if you do?
Yes. Yes, I
There is
think.
a what if you do. So then
Yes.
just go for it. Absolutely.
Okay, so the last question I'll ask you is what is the message from your book, or what is something you want the readers to take up? Like when I've completed reading the book and when I close the book, what you want the readers ki, chalo, some message or something you want readers to take up from your book, because every reader has their own point of thinking. Maybe after reading the book, I'll think something else, but one thing you want everyone to have in their mind after reading this book, besides thinking that it's wow must book hai, but some message or something.
I think it is communication. We do not communicate. And communication is not just talking. Communication is actually sitting down and pausing to see uh, that, okay, how about, uh, understanding your perspective. That is communication. And communication is something we our egos, and sometimes we just don't
Like
talk.
listening to others and
Yes, yes, yes.
talking.
And I think
Because people
I
these days don't talk to people. They're just like, well, short conversations and all of that. I feel
yeah, you're
nobody is
right.
interested in talking to anyone.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody's interested. And plus, also, I mean, with me, by the grace of Almighty, I've had very supportive people in my life, and they have listened to me endlessly. So what communication to me also is, if when somebody is giving in, and I think I have started to already embody, show up for those people.
Yeah.
Just don't keep taking away.
Yes.
If somebody has showed up for you, you should make it a point that you should ask them the point of a good relationship is to show up for people. Like how Neil keep showing up from Hika, he supports her, and then eventually she also does it. And um, I think in this world when we are also busy with our work life or Instagram life, take some time off for your people. Call them, ask them how they are. I haven't done this in a really long time, and so that's something I'm pledging to do now. I really do. Think that, I also need to reach out to a lot of people and say, hey, how are you? What's happening? It's been a long day for you. But sometimes people don't share. I don't know why there is this stigma around sharing your vulnerabilities. People do not get vulnerable also.
Fear
So
of judgment, maybe like.
fear of judgment, yeah, you can say that. And I see that, also the one thing that I have learned from a friend of mine is, there has to be a balance of sharing also. If there is just one side that's going on ranting la 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 la, and the other side is not sharing, that is not a good uh, relationship, friendship, whatever. So it has to be,
Both sides.
sharing or whatever, giving, taking, everything has to be in equal proportions. Those are also those friendship etiquettes. These are friendship etiquettes also. So I think to all friends, to all my friends, if they are listening, guys, love you. Thank you so much for always showing up. And I will be a better friend also.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay, really nice speaking to you, and
yeah. It was
I
my
will
pleasure to
always speak to you.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
text you, and I feel that after having this conversation, I feel like maybe if I'm in some difficulty or something, I can just come up to you. You're that person, or I can talk to. It really make me feel that way. So
It's such a I'm so honored by by your comment, and thank you so much for saying that. Anytime, absolutely. I'm just a call away. Just call me, and if you want to discuss, share something, and know that it's just going to stay with me.
yes,
So
yes.
anytime.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and all the best for your books. I hope you write more and more and more books and get successful and become a very good writer, become a very famous writer. And
Thank you.
looking
Means a lot.
forward to
Means
have
a
more
lot.
conversation with you
Yes.
about all your
Look forward.
books.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.